Welcome. I'm going to try something different, something new for my page today. Basically, we're going to be going through the whole champion spotlight of any champion I take the rank for. We're going to give Kabam's breakdown on it, and just I'll throw in my thoughts on like things like how they rate their damage, survivability. I'll give my thought process on it, and we'll see where we go. All right, so we're going to kick things off with my very first rank 4 champion as a 7-star, and that is Iceman. Now, Kabam released him around the whole Epoch of Pain, Valentine's deals, and everything. And I was very, very fortunate that the one free crystal they gave us, it landed Iceman. My Epoch rank 4 gem gave me Mutant. And I am very certain I gave him the generic Awakening gem. I've been a big fan of Iceman, like when I started playing the game and we were all using 5 stars, and I think there were 6 stars at the time. Iceman was my second rank 4 5-star, and I think he was also my second max top 5-star. But yeah, I've been a big fan of him. Then when Kabam finally released him as a 6-star, eventually I got him ranked up, 200. Battlegrounds was a thing, and we had very few Cold Snap immune champions. So I'm like, hey, this is guaranteed damage no matter who he faces, and your health is very important in Battlegrounds. Now, fast forward to 2025, Kabam gave us a 7-star. So I know I had one of the, might not be the first, but I definitely know I had one of the earliest, if not the first, rank 4 Sig 200 Iceman to grace the contest. Alright, so let's get into this. This spotlight, these stats are, hold on, let me pause all these notifications. Alright, no more notifications. Okay, the spotlight, these stats are based on a 6-star, so here and there I will fill in the 7-star rank 4 stats as we go along. Okay, survivability. Kabam rates him 4 out of 5. Me personally, I would definitely bump that up to either 4.5 out of 5 or even possibly 5 out of 5. My reason being one of the most important things Iceman has is his ice armor. That is going to give you a damage cap on what you receive at 5%. So with the ice armor, you can tank a whole SP3 and not have to worry about taking more than 5% as long as your ice armor is active. Now, any DOT effects that happen afterwards, of course you would take those, but it's very helpful where you don't have to worry about pushing an enemy to SP3 and then thinking, oh man, this is it. So I have some more showcases where I purposely would push an enemy to SP3 knowing I'm only going to take 5% and I can just stay aggressive. He also has a ton of immunities. We're talking Incinerate, Nova Flames. I think he's the only champion immune to Nova Flames. Maybe there was one more, but we all at least know it's Iceman for sure. Bleed, Poison, Cold Snap, Frostbite, so he gets around a lot on his own, Which is definitely why I'm going to put the survivability at, 5 out of 5. Damage, I think damage is solid at 4 out of 5. Thinking of the other champions in his class that he deals with, I might even bump damage down to about 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, his crits hurt. The Cold Snap he inflicts off his signature ability as a rank 4, the opponent's going to take 17,000 damage off the initial one. And then, each SP1 we're looking at dealing 10,000. If it's from an SP3, we're looking at 14k damage. His basic hits don't hit that hard, but I know his damage is mostly in his DOT and detonating his frostbites. But looking at a situation where it's just hey, it's harder to pull off detonating the frostbite, so you have to let them detonate on their own. And so yeah, with that, I drop his damage to 3.5. Ease of use. Now that I would definitely put up, honestly, guys, very simple. So I'll put ease of use at 5 out of 5 personally. Most situations, you spam SP1, keep your cold snap going. Heavy to detonate your frostbites, deal big damage. Some situations you might go SP1, SP2, some you might only do SP3, but for the most part, you know, you're going to make use of his SP1. There's no gimmicks like, hey, throw a special, tap the screen here, up, down, left, right, you know, or do 4 light attacks, do a light, medium, light. It's none of that. Just attack, special, heavy, or just attack, special. Nothing too hard, you know. Straightforward. Utility. Now, Kabam gave him 3 out of 5. Me personally, like I said, what I value as utility in this case, the immunities. Guy's immune to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things. He inflicts DOT. He has, yes, DOT. He can deal energy damage through DOT. He can deal physical damage through his hits. He can tank special 3s. He can shut down evades. He has an armor up, so his ice armor also counts as an armor up. So in situations where you need an armor up buff, yeah, he's your guy. So with that being said, yeah, I'm definitely putting utility up to 5 out of 5. Ton of immunities, access to the red damage, access to energy damage, access to physical damage. Yeah, projectiles on his like specials, so some nodes where pull, for instance, enemy takes like 80% reduced damage or 70 if you don't use a projectile. You know, specials can cover that for you. So we're definitely putting utility up there. Defender strength. Yeah, I'm giving him 3 out of 5. I would keep that there. I think that's a pretty good estimate, you know. He's not the hardest defender to fight. His ice armor can allow him to purify a stun, which they will add that more utility, you know, and survivability. But outside of that, his specials are not tricky to dodge. SP1, you might have to get used to it if it's like your first time in the game. You know, it's like a slight delay. It's not like OG Iron Man's like original or Superior Iron Man's beam where you can just dash back once and you're fine. It's more like that Iron Patriot where if you dash too early, you'll still get like caught on the back end of it. But outside of that, you know, as long as you have an immunity or can purify the cold snap, then you really have nothing else to worry about. The only thing, like, that's his strength as a defender. Only thing that, like, you know, like I said, I ranked him because he's a dual threat. We're in a mode like Battlegrounds. Of course, if my opponent doesn't have a way to deal with the cold snap and they haven't banned Iceman, sure, I can throw him on defense, and I know they're going to take guaranteed damage. Or, you know, if you got high energy resistance, then yeah, you can mitigate that damage and possibly even heal from it. So that's why I think defender strength is fine as it is. Alright, moving on along, we're going to skip all of this. And abilities. Okay, here we were talking about Iceman's immunities. As you can see, Incinerate, Nova Flames, Bleed, Poison, Cold Snap, Frostbite. So he can handle a ton of nodes, ton of hazard shift fights. He's just your guy, you know. And now let's talk about the ice armor. Alright, he has like I said, the ice armor also counts as an armor up buff. Here it says it increases armor rating by 700, but this is referring to a 6-star. 7-star rank 4, it is increasing your armor rating by 883.33. And like I said earlier, it counts as an armor up effect. So nodes where you need an armor up effect are, you know, you're fighting Havoc. Granted, it'll probably be a longer fight because of Havoc's high energy resistance, but yeah, you can take Havoc if need be. And you won't have to worry about the burst on the plasma damage. And the ice armor provides protection again. If you lose more than 5% of your health from a single source, it basically protects you. And you won't lose more than 5%, but after that your armor up is, or your ice armor is removed. And plus you can, if you're in a situation where you get stunned by the opponent or a node stuns you and you have your ice armor active, it's going to negate the stun, like it says here, but then you lose your ice armor. And after that, you got 15 seconds until it comes back, so be careful until then. And so it's like, this kind of one of the like nice little parts where if the ice armor is removed, Due to Iceman's abilities, all of your frostbites on the opponent expire instantly, and they're all going to deal a burst of red damage to the opponent. And even the dev notes that, hey, you can take those SP3s, no more than 5%, but, effects that happen afterwards, like, if it inflicts a degen on the SP3, you're going to take that full degen, no more ice armor, no capping that, Alright. When Iceman lands a critical hit, he has a 70% chance to inflict a frostbite passive. These are going to last for 10 seconds, and then they're going to deal damage to the opponent. As a 6-star, we see the 1900. As a rank 4 7-star, these frostbites are dealing 6,028.2 damage every time they expire. And they're considered energy damage. So if you have high energy resistance, you can decrease the amount of damage you're taking. If not, you'll be alright. Not really. Now, one of the bread and butter things to detonate your frostbites early, you use a heavy attack. And when you land a heavy attack on the opponent, all of the frostbites expire. They're going to deal their 6,000 damage, plus they're going to deal additional burst damage. As a rank 4 7-star, we're looking at 2,836.8 damage. So then, let's do some math really quickly. We do 6,028.2 normally for frostbite. If we detonate it with a heavy, that's an additional 2,836.8. So we're looking at 8,865 damage per frostbite. Now this is without anything extra to increase this attack. So, once you're applying your boost, your mastery loads up, this damage is going to be more per frostbite. So, ideal situations, you can get a bunch of frostbites, detonate with a heavy, repeat. Our special one. Now, the final hit of the special one is going to inflict the Cold Snap. That Cold Snap as a rank 4 7-star is going to deal 10,638 energy damage over 14 seconds. So you're going to be seeing numbers in a couple thousands just ticking on the opponent. And at the end of it is going to inflict 2 personal frostbites passives. Now, you happen to land any critical hits during that time, then cool, you have a chance to inflict more. Usually the SP1 altogether is about 3 hits, so things go right. You can inflict 3 to 5 frostbites total, or 2 to 5 frostbites total. Now, our special 2. Basically, this attack will allow, as long as you have your ice armor when you use this attack, Iceman is going to basically get rid of it, and he's going to gain a ton of attack for the rest of the special. So, as a rank 4 7-star, he's going to gain 10,638 attack rating. So, ideally, this is one of those situations where if you SP1 when you're at 1.9 bars of power, then build your way to SP2. Hopefully you built up a bunch of frostbites, you fire your SP2, because because you have the ice armor, you're gonna get the 10,000 attack rating increase. And because you're removing the ice armor, all of your frostbites are going to detonate. And in that case, you're going to do, at base, 8,865 damage per frostbite. But now we're looking at that, like I said, increasing even more because we've just gained a 10,000 attack rating, plus, like I said, masteries boost. You can imagine the damage here can get pretty nasty. And then we have the special 3. Say you're in a situation where you can't inflict your SP1, or you've lost your ice armor. The SP3 is going to instantly bring back your ice armor, as well as inflict the Cold Snap. And this Cold Snap is going to be dealing as a rank 4 7-star, 14,184 energy damage. And it lasts longer, 4 seconds longer, 18 seconds compared to the SP1 at 14 seconds. So this is a way for you to get an even stronger Cold Snap. And, while the opponent's suffering from that Cold Snap, you just attack, either build your frostbites, and you can either detonate with a heavy or get to the SP2 for the big major damage. The signature ability. Okay, while the Cold Snap debuff is active on the opponent, your chance to apply frostbites on critical hits increased by a flat 30%. So, without the Cold Snap, you have a 70% chance when you land a crit to apply a frostbite. While the Cold Snap is active, you add 30, so we get a 100% chance to apply the frostbite while the Cold Snap is active. Also keep in mind, these signature abilities are based on the full SIG 200. I cannot tell you what it is like, what's your percent chance increase at SIG 1 or low or up to 199R, but we can tell you, hey, get the SIG 200, every time you crit, you land a frostbite. As long as your Cold Snap is active. This will allow your ice armor to also reform 3 seconds faster. I think that is just standard, so as long as you're awakened, your ice armor reforms 3 seconds faster when you lose it. Which, normally it takes 15 seconds, but like we said, as long as you're at awakened, then that 15 drops down to 12. And this also assumes you are a 7-star. So, I believe so. But either way, you get 3 seconds reduction. And then at the start of the fight, you're going to automatically inflict the opponent with a Cold Snap. Now this will be your strongest Cold Snap that you have available, and as a rank 4 7-star, that Cold Snap is going to deal 17,413.38 energy damage. So the opponent is really going to be melting. The typical health pool of a rank 4 champion average is about 100k, so if you're in Battlegrounds and within 12 seconds, if you can't get rid of that or mitigate the damage, you're going to lose 12% of your health. If you're a rank 3 attacker, they're typically around the 82,000 marker, so that's about 20% of your health. The rank 2 or 7 stars, or like rank 5 stars are around 66k health, so that's going to be about 25% of your health. And if for some reason hey, you're bringing a rank 1 attacker who can't deal with the Cold Snap, average they're around 52k health, and so that is over 30% of your health. So that initial Cold Snap is going to hurt regardless. If you can't mitigate the damage, bring an immunity or heal from it, yeah, you're going to feel that effects. And then, mode like Battleground where health is important, hey, if I just made you lose 17% of your health, I got a fairly good shot of winning, especially if, we tie in a fight as far as time is concerned. Or, it gives me a few seconds to deal the fight even longer than you would. Alright, so this has been the reading portion. So let's go see some things in action, shall we? Alright, and here we have everyone's favorite punching bag, Winter Soldier. Now as you can see from my SIG ability, he's already starting off with a Cold Snap, and that's dealing over 1,000 damage per tick. And at the moment we've managed 7 frostbites. So if we detonate them, that was like 75k in burst damage right there. And here we are, 20 hits in, and we've detonated twice, and we've already taken off 2/3 of the guy's health. Now as you can see, like I said, pretty straightforward. Here we're just SP1 spam, detonate. And we detonate with our heavy, and we wrap things up here. Like I said, is he the fastest killer? No, but can he get the job done? Absolutely. So, there was everything in context, at least as far as, like I said, ease of use, pretty straightforward. That rotation was just SP1 to our SP1 heavy repeat. Now let's actually look at a couple more. Okay, so here we are against a bullseye in war, I believe. Yeah, this is war. And as you can see, we start off with our Cold Snap. We're boosted here, so instead of the 1,000 damage per tick, we're dealing over 2k. We launched plus the Cold Snap from our SP1, that one's dealing over 1k. And after 8 hits and a bunch of Cold Snap and Frostbite damage, this bullseye has already lost like nearly 40% of his health. Might be more than 8 hits. Did I get a hit? I don't know. So we throw another SP1 here. And like I said, the SP1, the Frostbite Cold Snap damage from the SP1, that's our weakest Cold Snap that we can inflict. The larger numbers are going to come from the Cold Snap at the start and the SP3. But as you can see, the Frostbites, when they're detonating on their own, so they're not getting the extra, like nearly 3k of burst damage per tick, or per detonation. And as you can also notice, our Cold Snap is also stopping Bullseye from evading. So let's just pause it here for a minute. And altogether, we landed 27 hits to take this guy down. And you know, I think the guy had maybe like 500, 600k health. And we're in 1 minute, we've gotten that boar fight down. Now granted, you know, we are boosted for war. I'm running full recoil masteries here, so I'm also taking extra burst damage when I fire my specials, but still, you know, straightforward. And we're able to do this fight without using the heavy detonation and without using the detonation of the SP2. There we just spammed SP1 to keep our Cold Snap up, stop him from evading. So, hey, you need a bullseye counter, you got an Iceman, you're good to go. And we're gonna go through one last fight, just showcasing abilities. Okay, here we are. This time we're another war fight. We have a rank 4 Killmonger mini boss, and you know, here we purified our Cold Snap from our stick ability due to the Conflictor node. But here we're just really trying to showcase the ability of Iceman's SP3, you know. Really the ice armor to tank the SP3. So here we fire our SP3, attack Killmonger. His reverb is currently active, so the red numbers are not protected by the ice armor. So you're going to take those full. You're going to take those fully. But here, as you saw, we only lost 5% of our health due to the reverb. I mean the ice armor. Well, that was just one last thing I wanted to showcase. So, like I said, you know, Iceman, I'm a big fan of. I think he's a very solid dual threat champion. He requires your opponent to have a specific counter for him. Otherwise, they're going to take a ton of damage. And hey, if they ban my Iceman, cool. If not, then either I can make him an attacker or a defender. He's going to have a use in that round. Alright, thank you guys for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.